Hello, hello. We are live. We're here for Photography Business Live Coaching. I have some questions over here to my right that I just screenshotted from the Photoboss Facebook group. So if you're joining me here live, hello, super excited to have you. Go ahead and hop into the comment section or the chat and let me know that you're here and that you can hear me where you're watching from. And we're just going to dive right into the questions. And as we go through them, I'm sure that there's going to be some more follow-up questions and deeper dives into some of the things that we're talking about, especially as it pertains to taking your business from a hobbyist, maybe like a side hustle type situation, to something more professional. So let me know if you can hear me and everything's good. I know last week we had some technical difficulties. It was a little, it was just a sound issue, but okay, I'm trying to make sure. Hopefully this is good. Hey, Kate, Sierra. We have Kiosk Pop. Hi. Hello, everyone. Perfect. She said it's all good here and you can hear me. Stacy, wonderful. Okay, so in today's video, we are going to be talking live. I'm going to be diving into a bunch of questions I have here on my second screen that are all about marketing, going pro, attracting clients, LLCs, all the things, right? All the things that it takes to take your business from maybe something that you're doing on the side or that you hope to do more of and make it a professional stream of income for you, whether that is part-time or full-time. So everything that we're going to be diving into today is all about growing your photography business. And I thought it'd be fun to do some live coaching here and just dive right in. So if I get to your question and you're actually here live or you're in the replay and you have some follow-up, let's keep it going either in the live chat or in the comment section below. So I am going to go ahead and dive into this first question here from Michael. And Michael asks, he said, I've started receiving inquiries from people finding me on Google. Super exciting. How do you deal with tire kickers who want the lowest possible price and want to book for like 2 weeks out? I'm under a year of being pro and I'm cheap, but I'm not that cheap. And I really like this question because I think we've all been there, right? We all are going to have those price shopper, tire kicker people. My first reaction to this would be to ask you what you're doing with your follow-up process and how you're talking to these prospects to see if they are good quality leads. And I would caution you, just because somebody comes in and their first question is, what are your prices? Or the first question is, are you available in 2 weeks? That doesn't necessarily mean that their budgets couldn't be flexible and that you can't still get them in at a price that you are comfortable with. And so I just want to throw that out there first. The second is that our job as the photographer in this process before we've booked with the client is to lead with value, to explain what sets our brands apart, why you should work with us over somebody else, and to explain that it's not just showing up and pressing a button. So everything that we do across social media, our websites, our blogs, and our content is supposed to be conveying what it is that we're doing that is more than pressing a button, right? So we talk about this a lot in Hook and Book. I don't know if you are a wedding photographer, Michael, but the first thing we have to do is completely establish your brand and your brand message so that you know your differentiating factors, you know your beliefs and your values so that you know what makes you different and why you're valuable in the marketplace. So that's kind of the first thing. But one thing that I think can be helpful for everyone listening, what I like to do when I feel like there's a disconnect between what I'm posting, the inquiries that I'm getting, and I feel like for some reason I'm attracting the wrong person. And it sounds like you're attracting the wrong person because of budgetary, their budgets are just too low, right? If that's happening, one great thing you can do that is free and effective is open a few windows on your computer and find your business everywhere that you are listed on the internet. Find your Google listing, find your homepage of your website, find your Instagram. If you are on, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, I don't care. I want to have all of those visuals present and then ask yourself if it looks like the same photographer took all of those images, or if the same brand messages, the same fonts, the same colors are showing up in a consistent way. Because a lot of times what happens is when we're first starting, we're bootstrapping, right? Like we don't have the budget to come out with this like $10,000 website and a brand. And there's no need to start with that at all with everything that we have nowadays. But what happens as photographers are just throwing information online and creating content and putting things out there, it's often what happens is there's some design discrepancies. So you have inconsistency in colors, inconsistency in fonts, just little things that almost like each one by itself might not seem significant, but then when you compound them together, they are lowering the credibility of your brand online. And so what happens is you put off more of like budgety vibes, or you attract people who think, you're just starting out, I'm going to get a great deal. So what we need to do is look for those gaps. And that's really what we dive into inside of Hook and Book Bride. So if you want to take a closer look at that, the link for my shop is down below. But I also have a free resource that is all about attracting and booking your dream bride. And so I have that. You'll find that in the Photoboss Facebook group. It's also on my website. It's the main free guide on my homepage of my website. So if you go there, you download that and you dive in and you answer those questions, that's actually going to give you some like marketing checklists, things that you can be doing to attract higher end clients immediately. Even if you're not a wedding photographer, it's amazing advice. Like it's universal. It would probably work for florists, planners, pretty much anybody in the wedding industry. So that's another great place to start as well. All right, I'm just going to look at the chat here real quick. Ellen, hi. This is wonderful that you're here. We were just chatting on Facebook Messenger earlier today. How are you? Ashley's here. Audrey's here. Alexander's here. Hey, welcome. This is so fun. Okay, so we're going to go to the next question. The next question is from Sean V Photos. And Sean said, I am a pro full-time, but I don't have the back end of things on a professional level, like payment options, email subscribers. I really want to just hire someone for that because the thought of this is making me procrastinate. Help. I have two answers for this, okay? Number one is you can actually outsource this. You can get someone to build your systems for you in your business. A lot of times people specialize in whatever CRM that you're on. So if you are interested in signing up for a CRM like Honeybook that manages all of your clients, there are people then and just build you all of your templates and your automations and your brochures and make sure that everything's dialed in. So this is a service. I can actually recommend a couple people to you if you reach out to me. So this is something that people offer, but a lot of times that is expensive, right? So what I would say is start with your CRM. If you're trying to do this by yourself and you feel like you're just overwhelmed when it comes to the process of building out the back end stuff for your business, start with the CRM. I recommend Honeybook. I have a link for 50% off your first year. And it's like, they have new options now, pricing options that are as low as $4 a month. So if you get one of their most basic options that still has all the Honeybook features and discounts, you can start on a smaller plan, $4 a month, and that actually includes contracts, and a lot of email templates are pre-built into Honeybook. So that's where I would have you start. And then I would say, if you're thinking about email subscribers, because I know you mentioned that, my advice to you would be don't think about an email list and don't think about that until the back end of your business is dialed in, because it almost doesn't matter if you have all these beautiful email automations or great marketing ideas, because if you're drawing them in, but then you don't have a way to capture those leads, follow up with them well, gather reviews in ways that you're not writing the same email over and over again, or you're wasting your time basically. If you're just going to be sitting there spinning your wheels, it's getting the cart before the horse. So let's get your systems dialed in, and then we can talk about your email subscribers, which I actually have 2 videos that just came out in the past couple of weeks that are about starting and growing an email list as a photographer. So that's where I would have you go next after that. Okay. The next question is from Debbie Perez, and she asks, I want to know about marketing that works. I'm tired of spending money on Facebook ads and Google ads. I'm tired of Facebook groups where 1 million other photographers are posting to snag a bride, and how to get my images seen by more people on Instagram. Okay, there's a lot of different pieces here. What I want to know is, who is your ideal client? Because before we can dial in on anything to do with marketing, we have to know your brand and who your ideal client is. And I know that sometimes it can be frustrating when you just need to get that next client or that first client, and you just need to grow your portfolio. And it feels like working on a brand is the last thing you want to think about. But it very truly is, it's going to be a waste of your money to try to advertise. You mentioned Facebook, you mentioned Google ads, and then trying to throw your name in a sea of photographers. It is going to be really, really difficult to stand out until you know exactly who you serve and how you serve them. And that's when it gets easier, right? Like as soon as you dial in on your marketing message and your ideal client, we can then talk about your audiences on your Facebook ads. And then those audiences can get a whole lot more specific so that you're not advertising to people that just don't care about what you have to offer. So start with your brand. If you haven't already, I have a couple videos here on my channel about branding, and you can also check out my course. It's still in the shop. It is still $200 off for more days. Like, yeah, it's the 21st, for a couple more days, and then the price is going back up to the regular rate. So it's a perfect time to jump in. And we have a Facebook group. We do live coaching in there. It's an incredible value, and it's just a no-brainer for photographers, especially if you're hoping to stand out or kind of attract the right person, and that's difficult. As it stands right now, this is going to be a game changer for you. Awesome. Freelance photographer here from the Philippines. Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining live. Victoria asks, tips on going full-time. There are so many things that I could say about going full-time. Let's get the conversation going. But I would say the number one thing that has to happen first, and a couple other people asked this too. They were like, what's the first thing you have to do before you go full-time? And truly, I feel like the first thing you have to do is decide that this is a business and treat it like that. And that can kind of seem like this like cop-out answer, like, okay, great. But I will tell you that the success that you will have as an entrepreneur begins and ends in your mind. And it's going to be incredibly hard to convince anybody to pay you for anything, right? Not just photography, for anything, if you do not first and foremost believe in that value yourself. So you have to believe in what you're doing, and you have to treat it like a business. So that's the first thing. And when you start thinking this is a business, whether or not it paid me $5 or $5,000 or $50,000, you start making business person decisions, and you start seeing where you can make investments in your education and in your business in terms of, softwares and gear. And you start thinking in a realm of possibilities instead of kind of one foot in, one foot out, like, hey, if this grows, I guess I'll take it full time. So I feel like the decision to go full time is the absolute first thing, because you have to take it seriously. Nobody's going to give you that permission or say, hey, you should take this full time. I mean, if someone has for you, wonderful, but nobody did for me. I had to just decide that this is what I wanted to do and then make it happen for myself. And that all began in my mind. So that would be my absolute first step. And then I would say, you have to get a website. You have to find a place to have your images live, and where people can get in touch with you, and you can start to gather inquiries and follow up with those inquiries. And so the beautiful thing is that it is so easy now to create websites, to post your work on the internet. Just the options now for photographers are just like mind-blowing compared to even just 8 or 10 years ago. I have a website. Show it exists when I first started as a photographer. But so many of the things that we have now and the marketing channels that we have now that are even free on social media didn't exist, right? And so I would start there. I would make sure that you have made the decision, you've determined what your business is going to look like, and then you've mapped out your profitability roadmap in your mind of where you want to go and how you're going to get there. Even if you don't know exactly, right? Like if you know you want to be a wedding photographer and you know you want to be full-time, that's more information than you think, because you could sit down and you could say, let's put all of our expenses on paper and decide how much do we need to be making in order to at least make ends meet. That's your goal. That's going to be the revenue goal or your profit goal. And then from there, you can do a little bit of math and figure out how much it's costing you to run your business. Do a cost of doing business analysis. And then when you factor in your taxes, you have what would be your gross revenue number. Once you have that, you have a point on the map of where you want to go. And that is so pivotal, because if we're vague about where we want to go, you never know where you might end up, right? Like if I say, okay, I want to go on a road trip, and I don't really know where. Like I just get in the car and I start driving. I might end up somewhere interesting, but if I know that I want to go to the beach and I know exactly what beach, then I can have the specific GPS directions of where I want to go. And then I can decide if I want to pay tolls to get there, if I get there a little faster. Maybe you work with a coach, maybe you go to that workshop, maybe you second shoot a little bit. There's different ways to get there, right? But at least you know exactly where you want to go. And I heard the analogy recently. Somebody was saying that when airline pilots are flying a plane, if their trajectory of what they've dialed into the system is even 1 degree off, that can mean hundreds of miles of difference in where they end up. And I was like, well, this is crazy. So being specific about exactly where you want to go is going to change the decisions that you are making today. And so while you don't know exactly all the steps, you might not know exactly all the names of the roads you're going to take, knowing exactly where you want to be is going to actually reveal those next steps to you. But it's going to be really important that you just take the first step, because action breeds more action and more clarity. Because I can't tell you how much I did not know what it was going to look like to become a full-time wedding photographer, but I knew I wanted it. And so that decision just led to the next, and the next, and the next. Awesome. Okay. Love the mom life. Said I feel extremely discouraged. I started my business in April and I've only had, well, first of all, you just started your business. So congratulations. That's incredible. And if you've had any shoots at all, you're making progress. You are learning a lot. Every one of those shoots is teaching you things. You're learning to direct people. You're learning to work with your gear. You're learning about post-production and editing. So give yourself a little bit of credit there. I had to go on an unexpected early maternity leave about a month sooner than I wanted to. And I was told this is going to hurt my business a lot. And now I'm scared to come back. I don't love what people tell women about growing their families with business. I just reject all of it. I just got back from a maternity leave, and yes, it affects your whole life, a child, but you absolutely can still be successful and, have a personal life and take time off. And I think you can do both. And you've still made some progress there. And I would say, as soon as you can get back in, as soon as you can safely, and you're ready to do that, and like it's safe for you to be shooting and you're good with your baby, I would say get back in as soon as you can. Start shooting even just a model, a friend, just break the ice as soon as you can. Because I think the longer that we think about stuff, and when we in our own heads and we're thinking, it's been too long, I've lost my momentum, the window of opportunity has passed, you start telling your brain that, and that's all it's expecting at that point, because what we tell ourselves is what we start to see everywhere. So you're going to have that confirmation bias. So instead, what I like to do is just take some really quick action when I feel those negative thoughts coming, and I just override it with action, and I get out and I shoot, and then I share it, and then I get better, and then I push through, and I just basically just strong arm right through it. And I'm like, nope, no, thank you. We're not going to believe that. So I love the mom life. I would say don't accept that. Don't accept anything more than the fact that your business is going to grow this year and your family grew too. The end. Jackie, hi. What's up, girl? Okay. Jackie says, I want to know the secret to the Instagram algorithm. I love that you're taking the time to do this, friend. Well, I would love to know the secret to the Instagram algorithm too. What I will tell you is that I am doing a 30-day Instagram challenge right now with a friend of mine, and we're creating Instagram content every single day. So we're posting reels some days, we're posting lives some days. So if you're not following me, I'm Joy Michelle on Instagram. I'd love to have you come join me, and I'm going to share my data. I'm going to share all the analytics after it's done. And so I have been my stories every day. I've been getting back into reels, which is new and exciting and scary. I mean, you would think that creating YouTube content, I would be, it's just more video content, right? But I never really got into the reels thing. I created reels when they first came out. And then I started working on other things. And then I was expecting my second baby. And then I was focusing on this channel because this channel is like my main content right now in my business. And I can't do everything well. So I have to focus on a few things. But my friend and I were saying that we really need to start showing up more on Instagram. And we want to see if we can try to figure out the algorithm and figure out what it likes. And so come hang out, come see, let me be the guinea pig. I'm going to post a bunch of different content in all of the content categories that Instagram has. So we have the feed, which we just heard is not as important, right? It's no longer just a photo sharing app. But then we also have stories, IGTV, reels, and lives. So I'm going to take a 5-pronged approach and just do all of it on a rotation. I'm not going to try to do all of it every single day or all of it every single week, but I'm going to try to intentionally create content for my audience, my people in those 5 categories, and then just see. And already on the back end on my analytics, which you can just jump in and see if you're a business account. I think if you're a creator account as well, it's like my account everything's in the green. It's like so much more exposure. And then I also have been playing around with some new strategies as far as hashtags. So I will probably be sharing this on like an IGTV or a live or something. I'm going to be sharing kind of a summary of what I learned after these 30 days. So if you're interested in seeing that, just stay tuned, come hang out on Instagram, and I will share that with you. But Jackie, you have amazing reels and you post amazing content. So I think you just keep doing what you're doing, girl. You're amazing. Okay. Ellen says, there is so much more to running a business than I expected. I am waiting to get a CRM because the constant back and forth with potential clients takes up too much. I'm wanting to get a CRM because the constant back and forth with potential clients takes too much time. Super smart. I would agree with you that that's probably one of the most surprising things when you first come into business of any kind, whether this is photography or something else. It is oftentimes a little bit surprising to people how little time you actually spend doing that craft, and then how much other time you're spending, doing admin work and drumming up business and talking to your clients and just doing back-end stuff, like things that are not shareable on Instagram, right? It's not glamorous, but it is absolutely necessary to run a business. And so that is why I have said from the beginning, running a successful photography business is 80% business knowledge and 20% photography knowledge. And that seems unfair at first blush, right? It seems like the fair thing would be that the really good, the really talented photographers, those are the successful ones. But what you'll notice is that's not the case, right? Like sometimes there's very talented photographers doing very well on the business side and that they're profiting and they're able to make a living. But most of the time, they're not the best photographers in the world that are actually making a living at this, because you really need the business piece. You need the marketing piece. You need to understand your pricing and make sure that it's profitable so that everything that you're doing as a very talented photographer when you show up at a portrait session or a wedding day or at a commercial shoot, so that it actually pays your bills, right? So you're right. I mean, it's kind of, it's a little bit of like a shock at first, and then you start to embrace that, and then you start to build systems around it, because I know that I, like you, Ellen, felt like I was just spending all this time, like, trying to submit my weddings to get published, putting together like vendor relationships and trying to go to networking events and trying to blog. And it felt like 80% of my week was just back-end business stuff. But what I will say is that the sooner that you can get a CRM set up, the less time you're actually going to be spending on a lot of these menial tasks. So a lot of CRMs have built-in contracts and templates and brochures, and they make this really simple. I know HoneyBook does, where you can go in and plug in your clients, get everything streamlined, and the back and forth, like even just responding to an inquiry is like 2 clicks, and then giving somebody your preferred vendor list, 2 clicks, and then they say, okay, I want to see your pricing for an elopement, and you have your elopement packages preloaded. So it's like making this stuff really simple for you is going to be a game changer. It's going to be so important for your sanity, unless you have a team, which most of us don't. So I would say get that CRM as soon as possible. And I like HoneyBook. I've always used HoneyBook. I think I've had HoneyBook for like 5 years. I think they're amazing. All right, Stephanie's here. She said, great idea. Instagram is so hard. I just hope for the best at this point. Yes, I think that there is something to be said about showing up and just not being so attached to the outcome. And that is true for most content, I feel, because there's times when I've made YouTube videos and I'm like, this is it. This video is like, it's life-changing. It's going to take off. And it just like falls flat. And then there's videos that I almost delete because I feel like there's no value. It's not helpful. I wasn't on my game. I wasn't articulate. I'm like, I don't know. Should I delete it? Should I post it? And it gets 100,000 views. So like the internet is a crazy place. It's kind of like the Wild West. Like we just have to sometimes do our best. And yes, we have strategy. Yes, thinking about, my brand positioning and my ideal client and trying to optimize wherever I am on the internet, right? But then at a certain point, it's like a roll of the dice. And so I love what Stephanie said, where it's like, I just hope for the best at this point. And that's not because I know Stephanie, we've worked together one-on-one, and she creates a lot of strategic content, but she just has a very good attitude about it. So you guys should all go check her out. Stephanie Albers Photography, I think is your business, right? I'm pretty sure. Okay, let's see. All right. Love the Mom Life had a follow-up question. She said, how do you create content? As I said, I've only had 5 or 6 shoots since April, and I'm getting bored posting the same shots. This is actually a really good question. What I did before I had a portfolio to speak of was I just made more of it. And they were not paying clients. They were not professional shoots. I just put together stylized events. I had one shoot where it was 2 of my friends. It was in January. We set up a table. It was like my dining room table. And I did a stylized shoot basically with my friends in January behind my condo. That shoot got featured on Style Me Pretty it was like a New Year's shoot. Yes. Okay. So I did this in December, I think. I don't know. We threw this together. The point is, you have to create the work. And even when nobody's hiring you, that all the more time where it's important to be putting out what you want to attract. So repurposing the shoots that you have, the photos that you have, planning stylized shoots, and either going to a stylized shoot, creating your own stylized shoot, asking friends to model for you. So let's say, for example, that you want to do family and maternity babies. Now is the time to shoot your own baby, share, get a friend in front of the camera for maternity, ask friends if they want pictures. I mean, it is not super difficult to find people that want free photographs. I think the key with this is to use a contract, make sure that you have creative control over what they wear and where it is and when it is, so that the lighting is ideal, and make sure that they've signed a model release. Because the last thing you want is to spend a lot of time and, your sweat equity over here trying to like find and create portfolio. And then they kind of say, oh, well, I don't want my kids' faces on your website or something like that. So we need to make sure that those images can be used and are usable for your brand. All right. All right. Yeah. Wiz Studio says, love it. I've heard of other photographers or other people doing the 30 days challenge on Instagram with Reels. I'm going to join you. Okay. Tag me if you do Reels, guys. I want to see your Reels. Send them to me. I will look at them, share them, heart them, comment on them. I want to share for you guys. And if you post images and want to have the community around you sharing them and, lifting them up and getting them picked up by the algorithm, use the hashtag Photoboss. Photoboss or Photoboss community is going to be great because I know a lot of people have been using that. And then I always see that because I follow that hashtag and a bunch of other people in the Photoboss community use it as well. So hashtag your photos, Photoboss. Jackie said, Ellen, you need Hook and Book Brides course. It's full of great information about marketing and finding your brides. Yeah, Jackie is one of my star students. She I feel like you tripled your prices after taking Hook and Book Brides. Okay. Let's see. Yes. And then Reels are the best for engagement and exposure. And that's true. Instagram is prioritizing Reels right now. So I'm as soon as I hop off of this live, I'm probably going to post another Reel. So guys, look out for it. It's all about it's for wedding photographers. So I'm not going to give it away, but it's funny. And I'm trying to see what ends up coming up for these Reels because so far, it was I can upload a video here on YouTube, for example, and if it gets 1,000 views in a day, that's a lot of views for me here on YouTube. But I put a video over on Reels and it got 5,000 views in the first day. So I can actually get more reach right now through Reels than posting on YouTube. Am I going to stop posting on YouTube? No, of course not. I think that they're completely different types of content. This is more evergreen. This is more searchable. This is just different. It's just different. It's not necessarily one or the other. But it the amount of views is just staggering. If I posted a video and it got 5,000 views in just a few hours, I posted it noon and by 8 p.m. it had 5,000 views. That's a lot, that's pretty incredible. So yeah. That I will be continuing to do. Okay, another question. Let's talk about LLCs. Lauren asked, I'm opening an LLC and I'm overwhelmed by the process. Okay, so this is hard to answer because it's different in every state. And that's why it's hard to answer. So what I would say is if you can find your state website information about this stuff. So either your comptroller website or mine would be maryland.gov. I can find information about what it takes to open an LLC, all the nitty gritty. It is usually not very complicated and it's not super expensive. You can also do this on LegalZoom. And someone else asked about an LLC saying should I have an LLC? Yeah. So Holly asked, how soon should I get an LLC? And then how do you know you set it up right? The other thing I will say as far as setting it up right, if you go on LegalZoom, they're going to walk you through the steps. They're going to ask you what state you're in, what you want your LLC to be called, how many people is your organization. So for most of us, for 99% of us, we're going to be single member LLCs. And that's what I am. That's probably what you'll be. You can also be an LLC and then be an S Corp. So there's lots of nitty gritty. So if you can, I would say consult with a lawyer in your state. A lot of times you can even just ask hey, what's your process for setting up an LLC? What's the cost? And how do I know I'm getting the right classification of an LLC in my state? And they should be able to help you. All Love the Mom Life just sent a $1.99. You're so nice. Thank you so much. I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm woo. I think it's a super chat. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Ellen, you said I need the info. So Hook and Book Brides is in my shop, joymichelle.co/Hook and Book Brides. If you go to my website and you go to the shop, you'll see my signature program. Right now it's $200 off. That's Hook and Book Brides. Everything you need to craft your brand and your marketing strategy to attract and book your dream brides. It's a video course. It has a full community and a Facebook group and a workbook. It's my star creation. if I do say so myself. And that's available now. It's $200 off. And then I have a new program coming called Hobby to Pro, which you can get on the wait list now. It's on my website. And everybody on that wait list is going to get first dibs, and there's going to be some really amazing prizes the day that it goes live, which is going to come out next month, which is super soon. Okay, so how soon should you get an LLC? My personal opinion is that when you know that you are going to be charging people and working with people, you should file for an LLC, because you want the legal protection that an LLC has for your business. I think especially if you shoot weddings, especially because there's a little bit more liability there. There's a lot more money there. There's a lot more emotion there, and it can be legally sticky if something goes wrong. And life happens, things can go wrong. So obviously use a contract, but an LLC is going to separate your personal assets from your business assets so that people cannot sue you as a human being, but rather sue your business. And so it's actually really important, especially if you own a home or have any assets or things that you do not want someone to take in a lawsuit. So I think having an LLC is very important. It's like one of the first things I did in my business. And it was also important for me from a mental perspective to know that my business was legitimate. And I think that that really helped me to know, like, I'm doing this, I'm filing for an LLC. As soon as I got that LLC approved, what happens is you submit a name, and then the government will take that request and then make sure that there's no other businesses in your state doing business under that same name or in your same category, right? Because, you can't have two businesses with the same name. So they make sure that that doesn't exist already. So there's a waiting time. It's kind of the same for like trademarks and copyright. So there's a 30-day wait, or they post this somewhere, make sure that it doesn't exist, and then they will grant it to you. Once I had my LLC, I was able to get my tax ID number. So then I had a federal tax ID number. Then I could take that number and then tell my state of Maryland, like, hey, can I get a sales tax ID number? So we have like federal tax and then your state taxes. So federal taxes knew that I was a business and I was making money, and then I was going to be filing and say, hey, my business made this much money. And then the state of Maryland would be getting my sales tax money on things that were taxable, which you got to look at that stuff closely because it is different in every state as far as whether something is sales taxable. I don't know. This isn't like my super area of expertise. And that is why I say talk to a CPA. And most CPAs and lawyers, you can at least get a consultation, and most of the time it's free, and you'll be able to get some advice about how you should structure your business as both an entity, but also making sure that you are charging sales tax where appropriate. I know in Maryland, it just changed, and now digital products are taxable because so much of the world is moving to be digital, and the government wants that money. They want it. All right. Let's see, Stacy asks, and then I'm going to probably wrap this up. So throw in your final questions, guys. This has been so fun, but I have a wee little 9-week-old baby that I got to go feed. And this light is like really bright. Okay. Stacy says, how do you get over the fear of just not being good enough and worrying that no one will hire you? I'm looking to specialize in birth photography. This is a really good question. I think sometimes with photography, because it's art and it's our passion, and so oftentimes the pictures we're taking are never as what we've envisioned in our head, and we're always trying to be better, that it's hard to see our work the way other people see it. And it's hard to run a business because you're holding that work so closely, right? It's so personal. So the way that I first started looking at this was like, number one, the market will tell you if your stuff is good enough. So really the only way to know is to start putting yourself out there, making offers, drumming up business consistently, creating value online, and saying, this is what I'm doing, putting your stake in the ground and saying, I want to be a birth photographer. These are the kind of births that I like to photograph. These are the kind of the images that I create. And then seeing what happens, because the market it's kind of unemotional. It's ruthless. It's going to tell you by people reaching out or asking for pricing or not at all, like it's going to tell you, you're going to get information. And so instead of relying on how I feel about my work, sometimes I will create offers, put them out, and then see what the world does. The other thing I would do, Stacey, is find like 1 or 2 people who you actually think have a good photographic eye, and have them give you some honest feedback. The reason I say 1 or 2 people is because I think sometimes we rely on Facebook groups. We put, a lot of stock in what strangers are saying to us on the internet, and their opinions a lot of times just don't matter, and they're going to contradict. Someone's going to say, your work is beautiful, you should charge more. Someone else is going to say, you're not ready to be doing anything professional. And if we let all these voices influence what we're doing, we're not going to make any forward motion, because it's just going to be paralyzing. So I would say, if you feel that you need some confidence boost and you need to know where you stand with your photographs, find a mentor or somebody that like in real life, or that you have a relationship online with, that you can say, here's my work, here's what I'm seeing, I need your honest feedback, instead of kind of like letting all of the internet just like tell you what it thinks, because sometimes that's not helpful. And the other thing to obviously keep in mind is that like there is a style for everyone, just like there's like a person for everyone, there's a personality for everyone, like there's a style for everyone. And so that's the other reason why sometimes if you post into a Facebook group, someone might say your work is blown out, or it's too warm, but honestly, that might be what you're going for. So it's really important to keep your ideal client in mind and to know where you're trying to go when you're asking for that advice. But the final thing that I'll say about confidence is that you're going to have to step out before you feel ready. You're not going to feel ready. At least it sounds like you're not going to, right? Like when you get your first paying client, they are your first paying client. So one could argue, when are you ever ready to say, yes, I'm going to take hundreds of dollars of your money, and I'm going to get these pictures, and then I'm going to deliver them to you? Because technically someone's going to be that first client, and technically you've never done it before, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't start. So at a certain point, we do have to kind of leap, and the path will appear. Now, I don't want you to sign up for someone's birth and not have the proper gear and not have the proper contracts and, not be able to follow through. So I think you're ready when you can follow through on what you're offering. So, I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, do all business owners question themselves as much as photographers in terms of being worthy or being ready? And I was thinking, does somebody in like a tech field say, am I worthy to sell this software? Am I allowed to start this business and charge these prices? And I think that they're less emotionally attached to things, of course, and they look at it in a different way. And they're ready when the software is helpful. They're ready when they've proven that it works or they've debugged it in some way, right? So when you know that you can deliver birth photography images that look like your portfolio, and you feel enough that you can promise that, then I say you're ready. And at a certain point, you have to just do it. And that's scary. It's a leap, but so is entrepreneurship. I feel completely unprepared constantly to do all sorts of things in my business, but I think we just can't trust our feelings a lot of times. All right. Stacy says, that's really helpful. I'm glad you think it's helpful. Sometimes I'm like just talking in circles, and I'm like, we'll see where this lands. Okay, we have a bunch more questions here. So I think that I'm going to wrap this up here today. I'm going to go feed my baby. Thank you guys so much for joining me here live. I'm going to do a part 2 of these questions because we have some really good, juicy questions. So as you are thinking of more things, throw them in the comment section. Let me know what else you'd like me to talk about, and we can come back and kind of do a rerun of this. I'm also going to go into the Photoboss Facebook group and dive into some of these in more depth. And I will say that we were just talking about financial check-ins and doing my monthly CEO checklist and what that looked like in my business. And I was talking about this over on my Instagram. So I will probably be sharing that full list and what I do, what numbers I look at in my business, and how I get a pulse on what's happening with my profits in my own business, in hopes that it would help you guys. So I will be sharing that over on my Instagram page at some point in the next 30 days, since I'm doing a 30-day challenge. So if that's interesting to you, then definitely be following at Joy Michelle. And guys, I hope you have a really good Wednesday. This has been such a fun hangout. If I didn't get to your question, please leave it again as a comment, and I will continue to work through these questions. And be sure that you've joined the Photoboss Facebook group, because there is so much value, and obviously not just from me, from photographers all around the world that are truly incredible at what they do. So use that resource and go help some other photographers in there too. If you guys know these topics, please become a resource to another photographer and, pay it forward, because I think that's what really helps our industry to rise above and continue to grow and be profitable. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.